Hello, my name's Havlin. Welcome to Wine Pages with Havlin Rose. This is my second channel. I have a main channel called Havi Speaks, you know what I'm saying, where I talk about TV and movies and their political impact on our society. Right. Okay. I also have a substack at Havi Speaks where I be tearing it up and writing poetry and shit. Okay. Now that business is over. Today I want to talk about fan fiction. Because I used to write fan fiction when I was like in seventh grade. Um, and the thing about me is I'm dyslexic, and growing up, could barely hold a pencil without trying to cry. You know, the writing thing wasn't giving. The reading comprehension, I've never really had terrible reading comprehension, but it always just takes me so long to understand something. And I always was bad at state test and stuff. Or I wouldn't do bad, but it would take me like 4 days to get through 50 questions. And I had teachers, be mean to me and be like, "You're dumb" and shit. Not that explicitly, but kind of outcasting me and thinking lowly of me because I'm black and I had a learning disability. But no one knew that yet. Anyway, but I didn't get any type of disability, like, what's it called? Accommodation until I was like 11th grade. And at that point, I was like, bitch, I might as well just graduate. Anyway, but I started really liking writing when I was like in fifth grade. And sorry, my voice is raspy because I had an allergic reaction for the past couple of days, which I didn't know I was having until someone told me that there was an ingredient something. And I was like, why have I not been able to breathe? Anywho, that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, I started really liking writing when I was like in fifth grade. My teacher was racist and he hated all the black kids in his class, but I was just like, I wasn't picking up on the racism. So I was like, I gotta work extra hard, you know what I'm saying, to prove this white man right, subconsciously. Um, anyway, so I got really into writing. I remember I read Midsummer's Night's Dream by Shakespeare in class, and I did like extra credit and shit for it. And I really started falling in love with writing. And then, you know, I got Tumblr in my life around seventh grade, and that's when shit really started to rock. I don't know, like something changed chemically for me being on Tumblr. It made me learn about like more black queer studies and kind of helping me understand my identity more. And I also was like a really big Five Sauce fan, 5 Seconds of Summer. Yeah, that was a big part of my life when I was 12. And I loved Callum because he was the only person of color. Same with Zayn for One Direction. I didn't give a fuck about any of the other white boys. I was just like this one vaguely brown guy with some features. I fuck with it, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, but I remember being kind of in a fandom adjacent, right? Like I loved Five Sauce, but I was more like, that's like my day job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got other hobbies. The Five Sauce stand shit, that's not really like my go to day to day, right? But I remember getting into fan fiction because of that. Because I was reading fan fiction a lot, and I was like, oh my God, this is kind of spicy. And the shit that was on there, these little girls that be writing this shit, there needs to be like a study done to them in their brains, because how the fuck do you think about that shit when you're 14? Anyway, um I was just like, really, I liked reading about it, I liked reading it, and then I started writing it. And then I was like, hold on, I've never okay, I have posted my fan fiction before, but I'm not gonna read it. I'm not gonna tell you because it's very embarrassing. It's still like, yeah, I don't know. But I have a really like fond time writing fan fiction when I was younger. Like, I have always struggled with sleeping. So during the summers, I would spend a lot of time like up at night reading or writing fan fiction. I'm not a prolific fan fiction writer, but I was doing the damn thing, and it really got me into writing because that year I think I started writing or started reading fan fiction. I got into the honors program in my middle school. And so it really flipped from me being like reading and being like, I didn't comprehend any of those things, but I'm going to act like I did and hopefully no one will notice. And that was really getting me through elementary school, just guessing and kind of just having a nice personality so the teachers wouldn't notice. Anyway, but yeah, I somehow got into like an advanced class, advanced English in in middle school. Right. Keep it going, Havla. Keep it going. Um, so I made it into advanced English, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I've never been seen as somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about or writing about. But I was like, what really got me into reading, bro, was like the Where the Red Fern Grows, the Giver series, Midsummer's Night's Dream, and fan fiction, One Direction fan fiction. Like, and it's like at this point, like I was never a huge directioner. Um, but I'm so enthralled, and I was so enthralled by like fandoms as a kid. I was like, this is so interesting. You guys are so crazy, but I'm living for it. And like there's so much expression that's made out of out of fandoms, and all the edits and all of the fan fiction, all of like the POVs, all of the freaking like starter packs. Remember those? Are those still a thing? Where they'd be like your red top and your messy brown messy bun and your freaking like V neck white t-shirt and flannels and shit and black skinny jeans. Yes, like it was just like there was a moment in my childhood where I was just like, this is like free expression. Shout out to Tumblr. I feel like there should be a an episode where I go through my Tumblr because that bitch, but my motherfucking laptop is not working. So we will not be doing that anytime soon. I can't record on my phone and scroll on my phone at the same time and screen record on my laptop. It's just, I don't got it like that. I just said that my freaking job's ended. Anyway, but what was I talking about? Right. I'm not editing this, by the way. But fan fiction has like really changed my life in its own way, and like I have been doing these manifestation courses, and like I'm on this like online manifestation thing, and part of it's talking about shadow work, and some of it was just like you can really talk. It was like talking about how you have to embrace your shadow and like basically it's like all the worst parts of yourself. I don't really have much of in-depth grasp about the concept yet, but it's basically being like there's a part of you that has all of your angry, all of your ugly, stupid, worst parts of yourself that really wants to express itself in some meaningful ways. But by repressing it and constantly putting your energy towards not wanting to show your shadow self, that it prohibits you from being able to like live a more full life. And by living a full or by attempting to live a full life, you need to like embrace your shadow self, right? Anyway, woo woo shit, right? Um, but I've been thinking about that a lot, and that got me into writing fan fiction again. Well, it's not fan fiction, but I've been writing like kind of erotic stuff, and I've been eating that shit up. Some of my best work, honestly, like I don't know, like I don't it's like shit that I would never share anyone, but it's so cool like seeing what my brain can do and like how I can write, cuz it's really like there's some shit where I'm like this could never see the light of day, right? But it's like I need to do things like that where I can just I'm not part of a fandom or anything, but like writing stupid shit at night or whatever, or like doing it, just like it's fun writing things that I know I'm never going to share and that I don't have shame anymore. Like people really shit on fan fiction, people shit on erotica, people shit on all of that because they're like, ew, girl, boo, shit, tomatoes, tomatoes. They're like, women and femme should like never express their sexuality or understand it in any way or like want to have sex or want to have anything happen to them in an interesting way, okay? But like reclaiming that type of like erotica writing makes me be like, oh snap, like this is how I can explore certain parts of myself. This is how I can understand some of my sexuality, this is how I can like express myself. And I'm like, wow, I feel like you were taught to like that reading fanfic or something is like weird, or reading erotica is like some loser shit. But doing stuff like that, doing loser shit, like, is so much fun. Like, and it's crazy because it made me open. I haven't been doing it a lot. I did it like once or twice, but it really opened my eyes, and I was like, keeping shame about like what I like to write, what I like to read, what things interest me because they're like they're embarrassing, or like, I don't know, like pathetic is kind of a strong word, but I feel like it's interesting seeing like what I can make when I'm not in a space of shame, or like looking at my work and looking at myself and being like, oh bitch, like you're a loser, whatever, whatever, which is so dramatic. And I feel like more people should just do things that are kind of embarrassing, um, and be like, this is a special private moment for myself. And I want to be able to embrace parts of myself that even I am like nervous to bring around other people. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to share that because like literally writing erotica is fun. I like writing. I've been a writer for so long. I just love reading things. And I feel like there's so many things where like people shit on things that women like and fun people like. I think when I was in ninth grade or something, when we were reading Romeo and Juliet, my teacher was like, Romeo and Juliet is like based off of another work. It's like the something Tales of Romeo. Wow, that made sense. It's something about like the story of Juliet and Romance or something, which is like an Italian story that I think is based off of another thing. So William Shakespeare took two characters from a work that he liked. I forget what it was called, and I don't feel like searching it up because I'd have to end this and then edit it, and that's not freaking happening. Um, so yeah, it was like something about Julia and Romeo's Italian thing, and then that was adapted from a French work. So I'm like, William Shakespeare, literally, who we think of when we think about English, right? And teaching contemporary English, or not contemporary, I think it's like modern English. And learn, like, there's so many terms that we get from Shakespeare. There's so many things that we learn. Like, he is like the basis and the foundation of learning like English writing and Western writing and Western or Western fiction and stuff. And y'all motherfuckers trying to make me feel embarrassed? This motherfucker already got his goddamn ships. Okay? He's writing his ship fan fiction. Like, all he needed was a YN. You know what I'm saying? I meant your name, not YNs. But also, that's another thing I want to talk about. I think it's really interesting. I'm watching Love Island, and I said that in the last video, and I'm so sorry I'm bringing it up again. This season has been blowing. I might cost some more right now, and episode 17 has been the best. Anyway, but there's been a lot of talk about Casey and Anaya, and those debates online are despicable, and I won't contribute to it because literally it's making my head itch. Villainizing both Casey and Anaya in their own ways, and the topic of colorism has come up, and it's like, you guys have a rudimentary. Let me not talk shit because I can't even say the word. But y'all have such like a like baby version of understanding black politics, desirability politics. It's like, I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all know what colorism is. I genuinely don't think so. I think people are just throwing that word around, and not fully understanding the grasp of what it means to experience colorism, enact colorism, be able to have those things within inside of you. Like, people talk about how Anaya is colorist, and she's also experiencing colorism. She is a black girl from the suburbs, and that means that she has to be anti-black and shit, all these things. And I'm like, I don't know if that's true. I don't know if all of those, or actually, hold on. I feel like people, when they're watching Love Island, get super, 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 like, they jump to conclusions like crazy. They'll be like, this person said one thing, like one tiny thing about their background, so that means that I have to make a whole fan fiction my own about the type of person they are, with what their triggers are, what type of things they are believing, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, what what is wrong with this person, and they try to make a whole background for them, like they're literally freaking studying for a play, you know. But people really do, or they are tearing up Casey and Anaya, and literally it's because of racism on both ends, like genuinely. Um, but yeah, so you know, I saw the episode last night that I watched. There was a part where Anaya was like, "I miss my man," and then she talks to Carl, and then she's like, "I feel so appreciated and so loved and seen by Carl in a way where I'm like." I felt like Casey was so adamantly being like, "You're the most beautiful person. You're the blueprint, whatever." Um, so it made me feel intrigued because like the switch up that Naya has from feeling like so not appreciated and so not assured by Casey liking her, and this whole speech that she goes on about camp not believing that she can find someone who likes her and not feeling like she or trying to find the prince in her story, right? I have a lot of thoughts about that, but one thing I wanted to bring up in terms of this like conversation we have surrounding fan fiction is like um Anaya being like, as a dark skinned woman, experiencing praise and attraction towards someone else and towards herself, feeling like somebody wants her and be desired and desiring, not only to be seen as like a beautiful thing, but be chosen. And it made me feel so like it's been making my heart hurt watching all of it because I'm seeing her make decisions that I'm like, oh, I've seen these issues from other black women where they're like cannot believe that someone is into them, and maybe that's me jumping to conclusion, maybe an eye is not feeling that way, but it is making me be like, okay, it's hard because I'm watching this show and I'm constantly seeing every single season on the UK version and the US version. I haven't watched every season, obviously, but I've seen every single season I've watched. There's this like whole thing about dark skinned women. They always cast dark skinned women. I think a lot of times as OGs. Um, and I'm always like, they're constantly trying to humiliate and humble black women. Look what happened to Soul. And it's like, even though she's light skinned, it's like this black women in general are treated poorly on that show and in real life. And I'm thinking about, you know, how fan fiction is a way to be like, this is how I want to basically map out my desires and how I want to be desired. What are my kinks? What are my things that I want to be appreciated and worshipped of? What are the ways and the pacing and the rhythm of an actual encounter that I want to experience? Why does that make me feel attracted? And why does that make me feel attractive? And all these things. And I feel like it's so beautiful spending time and literally just sitting down and being like, this is how I want to experience a sexual encounter. This is how I want to feel desired and how I want to be, you know, seen and appreciated. And it's interesting seeing Anaya being like, I feel so seen and appreciated by Carl. Carl, I hope you're fun at least. Damn. And have a good personality. I don't know because I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, I just feel like it was really interesting seeing Anaya and like how people have been defending Anaya also and calling people colorist, and I feel like I don't have the same complexion of Anaya, and I feel like I don't want to say and speak upon things that I feel like I might have a different experience from her, but I'm not exactly the lightest person ever. So I've definitely seen and heard people say things about people who have my same complexion or darker, and I'm just like, this is terrible, and I want to hit anyone over the head with a broken bottle if they say some shit about dark skinned women. Please try it. Anyway, but I feel like, yeah, as someone who's black, as someone who's experienced prejudice on my black body, you know what I'm saying? And I've like, I feel like I've been attracted to people who don't find black women attractive in my youth, as in like this is not anything recent, right? I find it ridiculously unattractive when people don't like black women or femme people, who don't like black people in general. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Oh, you don't like fun? You don't like real ass bitches? Is that the problem? I don't know. Anyway, but I feel like black girls, black femmes, really need to write some damn fan fiction. Like, truly, I definitely feel like, you know, it's so hard to express your sexuality with being a femme or a female, in being black. You are basically provided scripts and how you should enact your sexuality, how you should be desired. You know, it just like even Love Island, like doing the heart rate challenge, how like all the guys were just turning the black women around as soon as they got to them. And I was just like, this is odd. Because yeah, black women are seen to be desired as this like their sexuality and their like what is the word I'm looking for? But they're like, how do I say it? I don't know. Like it just like always seems like in its a way where it's like a negative connotation. Every single time a black woman experiences some type of like attractiveness or desirability, it has to be in a way where it's like provided in these scripts that black women have to be Jezebels, or they have to be it's like these like sirens almost, where like their bodies are some type of like otherworldly or inhumane or whatever or unhuman ways of existing. And I just feel like we should all spend time and being like, what do I want? How do I want it to happen? You know, who I want to desire me. And because it's one thing to build the self confidence and be like, I really feel like I'm a badass bitch, and no matter what, I will be able to exist in a space where I feel wanted, right? And it's another thing to be like, this is what I want, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Standing on business and being like, this is exactly how I want to be loved. And I dead ass think, man, like, there's a thing linked with manifestation in fanfic. If you spend your time and looking at shit and being like, these are my role models for who I want my love life to look like, this is who I want to emulate, this is how I want to be desired, you know? Because there's really a very narrow way that people will accept black female sexuality and desirability. Um, and Love Island has routinely showed me that they do not care about actual the way that black women exist and want to be seen. Um, and yeah, I just feel like it's so interesting. And I really feel like it's even things that I feel like growing up you should do is like writing fan fiction and be like, or it doesn't even have to be fan fiction. It literally could just be like your own erotica. You could literally be like, I have no idea what I want this person look like, but being like, oh, this person is tall, dark, and handsome, and I mean black. I don't mean no goddamn like Greek tall, dark and handsome. I mean black. Unless it's, you know, whatever. But I just feel like you should be able to have fun and play around. Life is about play. If you want to be desired in a certain way, you can play around and figure out what you like, you know? Sometimes figuring out what you like is in dating, in actual encounters, but sometimes figuring out what you like is really being in private moments with what you want, with what you read, you know, what you see on TV. Those all form your identity as a, you know, sexual being, you know? So, yeah, I don't know exactly what the point of this was, but I really am obsessed with the concept of like being someone who's black and be like, I know what I want and I know I can have it. And so seeing Anaya and Casey, this whole thing panning out, I'm just like, bruh, I don't know. Anaya, I think she needs to write some fan fiction. You know, I think it's just like, I feel like, you know, it's so easy to feel repressed in society. It's so easy to be like, because there's so many structures that we don't have in place that would allow and be conduits for connection and, you know, like we don't have our third spaces for real. We have to like buy into neighborhoods that we like. We have to do all these things, economic decision and investments, to be able to be like, okay, I can be around the people I like. I can spend time with people I like. And it really like I'm basically the age range that Love Island is in, and I'm seeing the people who grew up in the pandemic or who didn't finish high school during the pandemic. I didn't finish high school during the all right, I finished high school during the pandemic. So I'm just seeing the way that kind of fucked us up, because I'm looking at these people who are older than me and younger than me, and I'm like, Gen Z has some goddamn social skill issues. OMG. None of these people can talk to each other. None of them can communicate with each other. I'd be like, God damn. What do y'all want to talk about? But it's just so weird. I could literally talk about Love Island for so long, but I had the intention of talking about fan fiction. And yeah, honestly, those things are linked. They're all happening in my brain. But I truly think that shit can make your mental health better, genuinely. Sitting down, and it doesn't even have to be sexual. You could just literally be like, I want to write fiction about me going to the grocery store and not being afraid of going to talk to the cashier, right? Social anxiety things. You could be like, when I go into the grocery store and when I go to the library and I ask for a book, I'm going to feel so good. The people are going to be so nice to me. Da, da, da. Because even if those things didn't happen, you can still have your brain as a place where imagination goes wild. And I feel like imagination is literally one of the best qualities and skills that you have to build. Being able to utilize your imagination for good, being able to be like, I am imaginative, I can create things from my brain, I can manifest things from my brain, I can draw a picture, but I can also create social situations that make me feel good and make me feel seen and appreciated, I literally think sometimes writing fiction about your own life can be a mapping exercise and be like, okay, when I'm in situations like this, I feel really good. I know when people talk to me like this, I feel really good, and that makes me create my own inner world and makes me realize who I want to be, who I want to be around, what I know I can do. You know what I'm saying? And your imagination can literally be limitless. And I think spending time and sitting down with yourself and being like, I want these things to happen to me. I don't want this thing to happen to me. I want to feel free. Because there's so many ways that we're repressed as a society, and how these certain things we're told to, grow out of being imaginative and being creative and wanting to do different things and wanting to be different people or whatever. But I think playing pretend, and I think you can do that by writing, or even if you want to film a video in a goddamn chicken suit and be like, I'm a chicken today, that shit might be making your mental health go up. Mental health stocks might go up if you're like, I'm a hedgehog. I'm playing hedgehog today, It obviously doesn't have to be a goddamn hedgehog. You could literally be anything you want and be in your room and just be fucking stupid and do whatever you want. You should be able to use your imagination. And I really do think the 14-year-olds online who are creating smut are some of the best examples of being like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. I literally have never even been in this situation before in my life. But I know I could be a boss ass bitch, and I know who I can be, and I know I can really talk my shit in situations I know I can really, improve in, and I know I can really express myself. Life is about expression. You should never, ever, ever feel bad about wanting to express yourself. Of course, there's, safer ways and important ways to express yourself. You don't have to do it in every way, in just any way. You should definitely be cautious about how you're expressing yourself when it's bad feelings or whatever, but you should also be like, I don't give a fuck, I'm gonna be this free as a fucking kite. Yeah, that's another thing that I've been thinking about recently is some people really want to do really nasty things to other people. And when I say nasty things, I want to be really nasty to somebody. And I've seen people send crazy texts and be mean as fuck to somebody who's their friend, or when I tell somebody off, or using their work stress as a way to take it out on other people, or putting all of their worries on someone who's an online creator. It's people want to do terrible things to each other. And that's a part of humanity, And I dead ass think all the Twitter finger bitches online need to be getting into creative fiction, creative nonfiction. You guys should be writing some of the nastiest things. I'm like, that was actually incredibly clever. And if you use your powers for good, you could be a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I genuinely think so. Like, I feel like instead of wanting to kill someone, you can generally just be like, I'm gonna express myself in some other way. If you want to like, um, you know, just say something crazy to somebody, you can literally write a script about you saying something crazy to somebody instead of doing it. You need to be able to get things out of yourself in a way that is safe and not harmful to you and the other person involved. It's just the truth, baby. You know, people really want to be nasty to each other, and I genuinely feel like you can get some of that nasty stuff out by writing about it, by being creative about it. You can make anything out of anything. You just don't have to actually harm people, or like, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like a lot of people who spend a lot of time online or who treat their friends badly or do anything like that want to spend their time making pottery because we don't have the social structures to do dumb shit like that. Anyway, but yeah, I've been talking for a while. I genuinely feel like fan fiction, fiction, black girls all need to be appreciated. And I really hope that more black women can talk about what their desires are and freely be like, because it's like so much of desire is like wrapped up in race science and or race pseudoscience and slavery and freaking all these things, right? All this like ableism, all these things. People who are not able to perform these scripts of job success and able-bodied success and all these things, all these people who are not putting in these scripts, they're being told that they're not desirable. If you can't work the job how you're supposed to work it, or if you can't model the way you're supposed to model, if you can't do this, that, and the third, then you are not worth being desired. It's all fucked up and wrapped up in some BS because they like there's a desirability link between work and your own physical body and all, like, it's just like there's so many things that I feel like there's a better way I can explain it, but it's not really coming out right now. But I genuinely feel like there are so many ways that we are taught not to love each other. And Love Island shows me those ways that we are not supposed to love each other in a confined, controlled environment. Like, these people are crazy. They're ravenous. They're hungry and sleepy. And, like, there's so many things that they were taught before that they really should not have been taught. I think black women deserve to be desired. Everyone deserves to be desired. Um, but I think you can really work out what you want, who you want, you know what I'm saying? In your imagination. Why not? Fuck it. That's just a real life, baby. Use art as a conduit for self-love. You feel me? Yeah. Write some fan fiction today. Write some fiction today. Write some erotica today. Read it. You know what I'm saying? Have something spicy in your life. Why not? Go ahead and do it. Also, maybe DM somebody. Why not? Be a little fruity. Why not? Do whatever you want. There's always a good way to express yourself, and you can make that way. You can make the way you want to express yourself and innovate and be imaginative and be a bad bitch. Always. There's always a way. If there's a will, there's a way, baby. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Shout out to all of the girls whose work I read when I was a child. You made this video possible. Thank you for all the teachers who doubted me. Now I'm in my bedroom talking to a camera, and you bitches can't say anything to me. Okay. Deuces!